Have you guys ever just worked so hard for something and realized that maybe you didn't even want it when you finally get there? Or you ever work in a job and you get promoted, and once you get that promotion, you're like, is this really what I was working so hard for? I want to shed a little bit of light on that in this. And by no means am I saying that you shouldn't want to get promoted or you shouldn't want to make more money or things in that nature. But I want to shed some light on why I personally don't even want to get promoted, at least in my current role, and kind of the reason behind that and my way of thinking on this. So, growing up, I have other videos about this as well, but we're told about, working your way up the corporate ladder, work hard, you'll make it, things like that. And it's kind of like you go to the mountain and you're climbing that mountain, right? So there's the promise of the summit, right? And that summit in this case is the allure of that promotion, right? You're going to get promoted, you're going to make more money, have more status, more control of your life. You're going to have that external validation from parents, from friends, LinkedIn. Don't even get me started with these LinkedIn posts, man. I'm so happy to announce that I've have the title of Senior Executive Product Manager, AI. Bro, it's all so fake on LinkedIn sometimes. And it's like seeing a shiny peak in the distance of a mountain, assuming the view must be incredible. And you work so hard in your job, you're hitting all the KPIs, you're doing everything you can. And quite frankly, a lot of times to actually get that promotion, right, to actually be in the position to get promoted, not only do you have to play the stupid corporate office politics, right, but the climb, quote unquote, does get steeper. You got to put in longer hours. You got to adhere to the office politics, like I said. You got to adhere to their expectations. And quite frankly, in the corporate world, a lot of the times the people managing you, like your managers, I'm not going to lie, they're not even necessarily smarter people than you most of the time. They're just people that were in the right place at the right time and happen to be at the company for, earlier than you, or, maybe they knew the owner and they got started 5 or 10 years earlier and they're just a manager now. And, I just don't want you guys to sacrifice peace for pressure. And I've seen this, my old 2 jobs ago, there was a guy there that got promoted to an account manager position, and they basically were telling him how you can make all this money and stuff like that. And his base salary literally went up $3,000, and he wasn't even really hitting bonuses. He was getting a couple $100 bonuses every couple months. That's nothing. And he's working longer hours, more responsibility and stuff like that. So I just think a lot of times with a lot of promotions in certain companies, and by the way, guys, there are still good promotions for sure, but just keep in mind for yourself exactly what you want out of your career. The view might not be what you thought, right? What you want in your life might not align with what the company wants for that position. You might get closer and realize that's actually not freedom. It's actually a fancier prison, right? You might miss more time with your loved ones, hobbies, maybe less time to exercise or take care of your health. It's it's almost like maybe you picked the wrong mountain. And that's why me personally, I'm picking a different mountain. I, at this moment in time, work in tech sales, right? And I am also working on other things outside of the job, things like lead gen for founders. I have a outbound offer program as well that helps people land sales roles. So I'm working on other things outside of just my job. But to me, I get more intrinsic utility from doing these things, and I actually feel better about helping people or helping small businesses, because I don't necessarily want to get promoted, make an extra 10 or 20 grand for the company, work even more hours, and just be in the same company, same fancier prison. To me, that it doesn't appeal to me as much as kind of doing my own thing on the side. And maybe it's the flexibility, maybe it's just my entrepreneurial mindset. I don't know what it necessarily is. But I asked myself, what do I actually want out of my life? And me personally, I don't give a fuck about a title. I don't care about, what my title is at work. I don't need to be senior executive, project assistant, sales manager, all this stuff, whatever it may be, whatever you want to call yourself. I just care about my own personal quality of life, right? I want to log on, do my work. And I also want to work in the most efficient manner. Not saying that you shouldn't work a full 8-hour day, but if I can get, 8 hours work done in 5 hours and I know a better way to do that, why wouldn't I do that, right? So that's kind of like my mentality when it comes to that. And there's a lot of technology you can use to make yourself work faster and get more done. And maybe it's the flexibility, maybe it's a little bit of stubbornness, maybe it's the peace I want, maybe it's the creativity or owning the own business aspects that I like. But I have other videos talking about being able to pivot. It's the same thing, like whether it's in your career, whether it's in a business, whether it's in your personal life, recognizing what you want and being able to pivot towards those goals is an important skill that you guys should look to master, or at least implement in your life. And I just feel like a lot of these jobs are dead-end jobs. And if anyone's listening to this and you're working a dead-end job, maybe look to get a different one. But even if you wanted to move up, or even if you wanted to get a different position, just really evaluate what exactly you want out of your career and use that to kind of reverse engineer the process you should take. At some point, you stop climbing just because you're told to, right? You look around and ask, is this even my mountain, right? Like you're doing all this stuff, you're hitting the KPIs, you're going to the meetings, you've been there for a year or two, you're exceeding your quota, all this stuff, and then you look around and you're like, is this even what I wanted to do? And for me, chasing promotion started to feel like chasing someone else's dream. And when I let go of that, I finally started building my own, right? So let me ask you guys, like, do you actually want the promotion that you're aiming towards right now, or do you just want what you think comes with it? Because sometimes those things are definitely not identical. And maybe have you ever worked for something only to realize it wasn't worth it once you got close? Because I have. Drop your thoughts in the comments, guys. I'm reading every one of them. And if this hit, share it with someone else who's maybe questioning the grind or maybe chasing a promotion right now and they're not fully set on it. But either way, if you got any value out of this video, please consider subscribing and sticking around. And Level Up Strategy out.